Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Michelle McLean, your host for Top Industry Professionals TIP International Radio podcast, where we showcase prestigious top professionals from all industries all over the globe to share their experience and stories of passion, perseverance, resilience, and success. We're so honored to have with us today our special guest. He's joining us from the Hamptons on Long Island, New York. A place I've never been, and I'd love to see you, Bruce, and love to experience the Hamptons. You're a leader and expert in architecture and design. He has dedicated more than 4 decades of his life's work to the architectural industry and is a seasoned and trusted expert among colleagues and clientele. From running his own business to also teaching architecture and being a guest critic and juror at architecture schools such as Columbia, Yale, Harvard, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Oh my gosh, this is absolutely amazing. You're an amazing professional and you've worn so many hats. He was just recently honored at IAOTP's annual awards gala in Las Vegas as Architect of the Decade. You'll be honored this year at the Plaza Hotel for your Lifetime Achievement Award, managing partner at Bruce Nagel and Partners Architects. Everyone, please welcome Bruce. You are just absolutely outstanding.
Well, hi, Michelle, and thank you so much for having me.
You know, from all your decades of work, and especially in the Hamptons, now there are exquisite homes there. What would you say, what got you into this field and how did this all come about?
Well, that's somewhat of a mystery, but I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. And if anybody has ever been to San Antonio, you know that it's a beautiful, beautiful city. It has beautiful history and beautiful amenities and a beautiful river walk that passes through the middle of the city. So I was always, exposed to a culture and aesthetic that was very interesting to me. I decided, well, I don't know if I decided, but I was kind of interested in the world of architecture even at the age of 12 or 14. And by the time I was 16 years old, I was actually working in an architectural office, sweeping the floors and picking up the garbage and leaning over people's shoulders and learning about what architecture is. Lots of people don't actually know. They kind of think it's other things than what it is. And it's a very, very beautiful profession because you are creative. And in my world, we create very, very beautiful single family custom homes that, we feel that we are very much well suited to do because we're so compassionate toward the design and our clients.
So Bruce, I've always thought, and I've had many homes in my life. So I've lived in different continents, different countries.
Uh-huh.
But a home is truly when you are helping someone design their dream home, it must be so rewarding.
Yeah, the feeling that one gets in making my clients happy, their dreams come true. There's almost no more rewarding profession than what I do. And clients are truly, truly pleased with the end result. I've never had a client not be happy.
Because it's absolute truth. Home is where the heart is. And so what has been your favorite project, would you say? I'm sure there are many wonderful, exquisite homes that you've designed, but what has been your favorite project?
Well, we have done a little over 900 homes, so we've done many, many homes. But I would say that there's 3 homes that stand out in my memory. My very first commission in 1983, before almost everybody was born, I did a beautiful home in Bridgehampton, New York, for a wonderful client. We call it the Paul's Farm. And it was an opportunity to work next to a farm field and create a custom home that was integrated into the local environment, looks like a barn in effect, but is a contemporary modern living home internally with beautiful views out to the farmland. And it was, for not only was it a special design because it was my first commission privately, but it was for probably two of my most wonderful clients that even to this day live in the home and are my friends. Two other homes come to mind. Is one called Villa Gatto. I had a client in 2018 who came to me and said, we want an Italian villa here in the Hamptons. Now, my wife and I have traveled to Florence for approximately 15 years. So the opportunity to design an Italian villa was right up my alley. I mean, I knew I had so many, let's say, visions and creativities that I had been exposed to. So this house was wonderful, and a client that really allowed us to make an authentic, kind of reproduction. And it was just exciting to do it. And lastly, a house that's called, we call it Penniman Farms. I'm sorry, Penniman Creek. This was an all glass kind of modern house on the ocean in West Hampton Beach. And again, a client that was just so supportive. Generally, the projects that stand out the most are the ones that I have a relationship with the client, more than just a working relationship, but like a friendly relationship, because it's from those relationships that we're able to create, as you said, Michelle, a home is where your heart is. And we try to kind of reflect people's hearts and desires.
Thinking about that and coming from the background I do from Namibia and Africa, so there's a whole movement towards renewable energy, sustainability. I've got a German mother, so a lot of my heritage is in Germany, where I think, the solar panels and the solar energy and homes being fueled by renewable energy has been, part of their culture for decades. Do you incorporate that in your work? And is America really on the cutting edge of making sure that we save more energy and look after our planet?
Well, not to be critical of America, but generally speaking, if we have a client that's under 40 years old, the answer would be yes. They're very focused on our environment and trying to be, kind of low carbon footprint. Mm-hmm. If we have an older client, maybe a little less so. But every project we do, we incorporate, an environmentally sensitive and appropriate design that uses materials that are reflective of all the things you just said. I mean, do I think we are at the cutting edge like someplace like Germany, which I happen to know is very focused on, sustainability. We're not really there in America, there's codes and laws that have been passed to try to encourage architects and homeowners to incorporate that. And, so the answer to your question, even though I've been talking here a minute, is yes, we incorporate all of that. And it's really, really important. So important.
So I go through your list of accomplishments. You have, throughout your career, you've won numerous awards and honors, featured on news outlets. You'll be featured on the famous NASDAQ in Times Square this December for IAOTP. Graced the front cover of Tip magazine. You've been in newspapers in New York. I mean, it just goes on, all your accolades. So what would you say has been the highlight of your career?
Well, it may sound a little peculiar to say it this way. I have an amazing family, and my family is enormously supportive of what I do. And, I try not to be absent from my family, but, my work is very passionate and consuming. So their support has always been the foundation of my success. I think I had a great education. I went to Harvard. I'm smart, but just being smart is not part of what makes you be a person. Being a person is about family, and so I'm here because of my family, and they're amazing to me.
That's so wonderful to hear, because I've spoken to so many successful people throughout my life, and when they revert back to the fact that their fame or success is due to their family support, that really, it shows a full circle for me of a human being, the balance that you have in your life. Yeah, I was just speaking to somebody yesterday about what would we be without family and support. So is this the same advice you would give to anybody entering your field? Is not only being passionate and talented at what you do, what would your advice be to them?
Well, I've been asked many times to consult or counsel people, young people mostly, who are thinking about going into architecture. And it's the same thing I tell everybody, whether it be my son or my daughter or my friends. You need to love what you do. If you don't love what you think you're going into, don't go into it. It's not about making money. It's not about being successful. It's about loving what you're doing, so that every day you wake up thinking, creating. We're in a creative world as architects. You want to not be in a mindset that doesn't allow you to be creative. And the only way creativity happens is through love. I often tell people will say to me, how did you think of that design? And I'm a spiritual person, and I say, I don't know. God just takes something and goes through my arms and my fingers, and then all of a sudden at the end of my fingers, I'm creating things. And I really believe that. So I always counsel people to do what they love, because from love is going to be a successful life.
Well, I would certainly have asked you to design my home. And I still don't have a home in Florida. I'm still renting all these years later, because we didn't know where our children were going to end up. We got, 4 kids when we moved to America. But I'm looking at, my retirement years and the place that I want to be in, and the home and the space that I want to create. But I'm very fortunate. I get to go back to Namibia often. So I've got that sort of eclectic cultural background of the wonderful vistas and views. Like, for me, that's very important. But now I live in Florida, where you just have buildings around you. And just thinking about that, have you developed any commercial properties, or is it just homes for people?
Well, we do. I have an office that has a whole partnership arrangement in Chicago, and my whole team in Chicago, we're doing hundreds of thousands of square feet for Neiman Marcus. So we're kind of Neiman Marcus's architect. And so, yes, we do commercial things, but kind of specialized. We're designing light fixtures for them and shelving and display, and it's creative and fun. I mean, we're not designing Costco's. And so we do some commercial things, but it's interesting you say about retirement, because currently my wife and I are really thinking about moving to Florida, at least part-time. And we're kind of struggling with whether we want to be on the West Coast, the East Coast, but retirement living is, we're a country of people that are growing older. And, being an architect to a retirement community or retirement aged people seems much more appropriate. And since I'm also in that group, it's easy for me to relate. So, you bring home an interesting point, Michelle, about, thinking about where people are going to retire.
Just after years and years of, from my experience, having a big home and children running around, and then you kind of downsize, but you still want that authenticity of who you are and a simplicity in many ways. I mean, I've collected so much stuff over the years, but you realize, it's like more important is to have your family around you than stuff. So what would you say is your talent in architecture? Are you elaborate? Are you simplistic?
Well, thank you for asking that question. What I think I really am is a good listener. And what that translates into is everybody has a different point of view and a different style and a different aesthetic. I call it their dreams. And we try to reflect exactly what our client is dreaming. And that takes a bunch of communication, and not just sitting at a conference table in a meeting, but having lunch together, going out to dinner, getting to know people, getting to know their lifestyle, getting to know how do they live their day in and day out life. When do they wake up? How do they wake up? Do they like the sun? Do they dislike the sun? Do they want to wake up with the sun coming into their bedroom or not? So whether we put it on the east side or the west side, are we going to put the kitchen and breakfast area on the east side so that it has morning sun, or do they want to be in the shade? So the architecture is an environment, and we have to reflect how we sit this architecture or object on the earth, and where is it oriented toward, and getting to know people and understanding. I always say this funny thing to people: I need to know where you're going to store your underwear. I mean, is it in the bedroom, in the closet, it's an important thing, because I have to figure out where to put it. And people always look at me very peculiarly, but there are many personal things that an architect does when you're doing a house.
Well, that sounds like you are an interior decorator as well as an architect. Because
we clearly are interior architects. We don't, in fact, we actually avoid trying to be an interior designer, because that's just not our strength. And there's so many talented people that do that for a living. But we are involved with the interior architecture. What are the walls? What are the ceilings? How high are the ceilings? There's many things internally that are architecturally oriented.
Often I'm just talking sort of, this is from the left field here, but when I spend probably 80% of my time in hotel rooms around the world, in someone else's home. And sometimes when I go into a home, I think they don't think like a woman thinks. You need the plug here. So there's a space for a mirror where you can actually like do things. Do you find there's a lot of in your business that there's a lot of crossover of the male thinking and the female brain and the needs?
Well, it's interesting you bring that point up, Michelle, because most of our clients are women. And that's not because they were the main client. It's because all these overly rich client husbands delegate the responsibility of the house to the woman. So, as I said, we have a little over 900 houses. So that means we've had about 900 women clients. And almost the man is never involved. And we're very sensitive to what you just brought up about, the conveniences or inconveniences of being a woman and what it takes to be comfortable in a house.
Yeah, that's always fascinated me. So besides all the hard work that you do and all the projects you do, what do you and the family do for fun?
Well, we have two, maybe three things that we love to do. We love to travel to Italy. It's and we take the kids. We go to Florence. We're kind of just Florence homebodies. We rent a place for a month, sometimes 6 weeks. We kind of try to live there, not just be a tourist. We don't stay in a hotel. We rent an apartment. Mm-hmm. We cook. We walk. We have wonderful times. So travel is really important to us. It's important to me as an architect to go to Florence because I'm a huge Michelangelo fan. So if I'm going to go anywhere, I want to go where he was. I want to walk in his footsteps. And secondly, I have a wife and myself who we love to play golf. So, we like to get outside and, do that activity. We are in a beautiful location. So going out to dinner at night and going to the beach and, enjoying, let's say, our outdoor environment is very, very important to us.
Yeah, well,
I would say those things.
You seem to encompass everything so beautifully, and travel is, wow, we can be so blessed that we are able to do that. So I was just thinking, Venice is still one of the places that I need to go to. I've been holding back on going to Venice because
don't hold back anymore because it's getting crowded again.
And I was just thinking during COVID, that was apparently the cleanest the water's ever been. But I've been holding back because I said to myself, I'm going to go there with the man that I spend the rest of my life with. So it's been 10 years now, and my husband is still not taking me to Venice. So going to put him on the spot there.
Well, if you want me to, I'm glad to talk to him about it.
Okay,
it is a fantastic city.
Would you say Florence?
I did my honeymoon there. And it's wonderful. There's some absolutely gorgeous hotels in Venice. We stayed at the Cipriani, which is
Yes,
a really high quality hotel and off the island, so it's not busy. And I've done a lot of trips to Italy, and I think that I don't want to insult any other city in Italy, but Venice and Florence, if you just went to those two cities, you wouldn't have to do anything else in your life.
Well, I'm so excited. I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm going to be calling you to make sure that my husband books
anytime you call. I have a huge list of all the best restaurants, hotels, all of those things, because we've been so many times.
Oh, that's amazing. So now that you love Italian architecture, and of course that sort of environment, it seems to be one of your passions. But where would you say in the world has been your favorite architecture? Because I was recently in Barcelona, and they claim to be the architectural hub of the world. You know, with all the different uh, uh, artists and designers and architects. What would you say is your favorite city?
Well, unfortunately, I've never been to Spain, so I can't concur or disagree with that. Um, I mean, you know, people kind of love what they know, so I only really kind of know Italy. I mean, we happen to love London and Paris and, you know, and all those places, but to me, no place is more beautiful than Italy, and it has more to do with art, more than just architecture. It has to do with people. I'm a people person. I do people's houses because I like people. And so when we go to Italy and Florence in particular, it's not unusual for us to be sitting in the piazza or having a cappuccino or having a coffee or having a drink. And then by the time we're walking to dinner, we've got 15 people with us, because people are so friendly and open and want to communicate and want to learn about us. We want to learn about them. So it's not just architecture, it's people. People are really important to me.
Well, you've just, I think, just sealed the deal for me in terms of, you know, with anyone in their profession, if it's not about what you love and what you're passionate about and the people that you work with and engage with, then it's a very, very lonely profession indeed. And this is where IAOTP really stands out for me, because each and every person that I speak to is passionate about what they do, whether they're scientists or, you know, you're a world-renowned architecture. Um, you know, it's just like it's just, yeah. I think you know, this is the kind of world that is amazing if we do find that connection.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you said a minute ago about going to Venice. You know, when you're walking down these, they call them streets, you'll call them alleyways or little corridors, and you know, you just can't help but just be so in love with. I mean, it's just a love event that happens when you go to Venice, and I really hope you get there soon.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to be calling you. And if anybody else wants advice and to obviously connect with you and have you design their beautiful home, and I really, really hope in the next few years I can call on you to do that too for me. How do they get hold of you?
Well, the easiest way is, you know, social media and the internet is where everything is these days. So if they would just go to my website, they can then go on and be connected to me by phone or email or whatever. And that's www, very simple for me, .brucenagel.com, BRUCENAGEL.com. And you're going to find out more things than you really don't want to know.
Well, we are so, so happy that you joined us today. And will I see you in December?
You won't be able to miss me.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'm looking forward to meeting you. And is your husband going to join you?
Yes, yes.
Oh, good. I can't wait to meet both of you.
And I'm bringing my CEO from Namibia, one of the companies I work with in Namibia.
Oh, lovely.
He's going to be, I think, going to be honored as CEO of the year. So,
Oh, my goodness.
all the way from Africa.
All the way. Anyway, Michelle, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure to talk to you.
And you, and you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See you soon.